If the world were like a Sleep Number mattress, everything would adapt for your comfort. Because as your life changes and your body changes, Sleep Number mattresses adapt and shift to give you personalized comfort night after night. And now everything's on sale during our Memorial Day event. Save up to $1,200 on mattresses for a limited time. To experience a whole new world of comfort, visit a Sleep Number store or go to sleepnumber.com. Sleep Number, to a good life sleep.
It's time for the Larry H. Miller Utah Summer Games at Southern Utah University in Cedar City. Register today to participate in the 40th anniversary season of a Utah sports tradition at utahsummergames.org. Participate in over 50 sports around the state. Then plan to join the opening ceremonies Friday, June 5th, presented by State Bank of Southern Utah. Register today to participate in the 40th anniversary season of the Larry H. Miller Utah Summer Games.
Your home for the best sports radio for your afternoon drive is right here. This is Jake Scott and Ben Anderson on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. We're teaming up with Beehive Meals. We're honoring people that impact youth sports in our communities. Nominate the youth sports volunteer you know for the Beehive Meals Hero of the Week at KSLSports.com/contest and listen every Thursday afternoon to Jake and Ben for the winner. It's the Beehive Meals Hero of the Week. Ben, if you ever want to be like shocked about history or something historical, go back and read all the meds that John F. Kennedy was on when he was president.
Yeah.
Have you ever done that?
I have not. No.
It's wild.
Yeah, I believe it.
He was on, I don't even want to slander the man, but he was on like 50 different things. He was on barbiturates and all this.
Well, those Kennedys were wild.
All this sort of stuff for his Addison's disease and his back and on and on. But that was the guy navigating the Cuban Missile Crisis.
Yeah, negotiating.
You look back and look at that list and you're like, whoo, I hope he knew what he was doing.
Big time.
I hope he found a good balance. A Florida judge has granted prosecutors bid to get Tiger Woods' prescription records in his drunk driving case.
I was wondering where you were going with that.
The list of this is going to be wild.
If it comes out.
Oh, it's going to be a public
it seems
record.
like it's going to come out, yeah.
It's going to be in the trial. I guess he could just plead guilty.
Or you're assuming that he was getting all of his drugs above ground?
Well, I would imagine you go back through his, in all fairness, he's been in several accidents and probably prescribed all sorts of stuff. I mean, the stuff that legitimately is prescribed. But yeah, I don't know. He maybe aren't pill mills still a thing?
Yeah.
In Florida, have they shut all those down?
No, I doubt it.
You think they would have changed
Florida's completely
those laws?
ungoverned. That's why people love Florida. It's just a free for all. Just alligators and pill mills, whatever you want to do.
Have you seen those Netflix docs on the pill mills? It's pretty wild how lax the standards were or /are. So, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
But I would imagine when we get a look at this list, it's going to be pretty long.
Yes, I suspect it's not like, I was taking too much Tylenol for my back.
By the way, Tiger, is he still in Europe? Still in Europe, drying out?
Oh, is that what he was doing?
Yeah.
That's right. He went to, no, that was Luca who went to Morocco. Where did Tiger go?
No, Luca went to Spain.
Okay.
Madrid.
Okay.
Tiger went somewhere in Europe to dry out. But apparently, if you read Matthew Perry's autobiography, most celebrities, when they go to Europe to get treatment, are not getting any sort of treatment.
I believe it. Yeah. Just like Luca.
They're just going to Europe to not be recognized while they're continuing their habits. But I hope that's not what
Amsterdam.
What Tiger is doing. They've got a great facility over there. Fantastic.
Drying out, yeah.
Because don't you ask yourself, like, Tiger, there's tons of good spots to dry out in these good old United States.
Whatever. You could have somebody come into your house and take care of you, whatever you need. Yeah. Yes, I don't believe that at all. So Luka, the Lakers season ended last night. Luka never got close to playing. Unsurprisingly, Luka never got close to playing.
Well, he said it was going to take him 6 weeks or 8 weeks when it was supposed to take him 6, right?
Yeah. So the second he left right after the season ended to go back to Europe for whatever they said he was doing, never really made a lot of sense. And I know they do the platement enrichment, and that's one way to heal, and it's one of the better places to do it. And, Kobe had done that. We've seen players do that, but you're not going to fix a hamstring. It's a hamstring strain. You're not going to fix that in 2 weeks from when he suffered it. So we didn't expect to see him back, and they didn't, and rightfully so. They got swept, though they put up a pretty good effort last night.
They lose to the Thunder 115-110, but it was the only game, not that you and I are gamblers, but it's the only game in the series that they actually covered. I do find it hilarious that everybody's like, is this the last game for LeBron? No,
we would know.
It might be the last game for the Lakers.
Yeah.
But not the last game for LeBron. But I'm guessing, Ben, that you're predicting, although you didn't before the season started, Oklahoma City is going to win the championship.
Yep.
How many games do you think they lose?
They will lose one in the next series, whether it's San Antonio or Minnesota. And they may lose two. If it's San Antonio, I think they'll lose a couple. If it's Minnesota, I think they'll only lose one.
And they'll sweep in the finals?
No, they're not going to sweep the finals. I don't think either. I think the Knicks will get a game.
I think they could easily sweep in the finals. I know Ben's a Knicks fan. He's just assuming the Knicks are going to get there, which is a far from a done deal.
Sure.
They are playing well, I suppose,
yeah.
but my Cavs are still alive after evening the series with the Pistons. But I think they could sweep whoever comes out of the East pretty easily.
Statistically, not that it matters because you're playing one in the Eastern Conference and one in the West. The Knicks, the Thunder, and the Spurs have been the best teams so far in the playoffs, and I think that matches the eye test as well. Oklahoma City has a net rating of 17. That's their offensive rating minus their defensive rating.
What is the rating on this? Because I don't think the Spurs have been that great this playoff. They bumped and skidded with the Blazers and are tied up with the Timberwolves.
They had some rough first halves against the Blazers, but blew them out in every second half, and they did lose a game 2 randomly. Spurs have the third best net rating at 11.9. Thunder, the second best
rating.
at 17.0, and the Knicks, the best at 20.0. So, on average, how much you're outscoring your opponents per 100 possessions is all that's measuring. And the Knicks have been the best there. But again, the Knicks are playing some lousy teams.
And they got a lousy team in the second round that they really shouldn't have gotten.
And net rating over a 10-game stretch is going to be very volatile, especially if you beat a team 72-22 or whatever the score was against the Atlanta Hawks in that closeout. That's going to throw up your score.
But to my, going against my point against the Thunder, they should not have played the Lakers either. I mean, the
Correct.
Lakers should not have made it to the second round. That team is just dreadful.
Right.
Just dreadful.
Yeah, and that that is the luck that it takes to get to the finals. Every once in a while, you just have to catch the right matchup. And, we can go back and look at the Jazz making the conference finals with Darren Williams and Carlos Boozer and be like, well, that was really the last time they made it. Well, they got to face an 8 seed in the second round.
Yeah, they didn't really make it. Right?
Yeah. I mean, buy into that what you want. There's a real argument the Jazz just haven't mattered since Carl and John left. I would listen to that. I know they had the best record one year in the regular season.
Yeah, define mattered.
It was the weird post-COVID year, but relevant as far as one of the better organizations, which I think is how they're generally viewed. And I'm not arguing against it. They can win. They've been above average. They're certainly better than the lowliest teams in the league, the Sacramento Kingses and the Washington Wizards that we've talked about a lot. But are they actually close to the top? I don't think so, which is why I think that this roster that they're going to be turning in next season with this number 2 overall pick is probably going to be their most talented roster they've had since John and Carl were here, and there's an argument that they could get to the most talented roster even if it doesn't have 2 Hall of Famers at the top. Just 1 through 6, 1 through 7, they're going to have a lot of really good players. So that's where I think there's some more intrigue here for the Jazz, and then you look at the team like the Knicks, which, they might have a couple of Hall of Famers. Maybe Jalen Brunson gets there, but it's not like it's 4 superstars at the top. Oklahoma City has 3 superstars on their roster, at least 2 very, very good stars right now. We haven't seen J-Dub in the playoffs, really. And the Spurs have Victor Wembanyama at the top. But there are teams that are just good all over that are making deep runs, and you just got to get some advantageous matchups.
I think you're selling D. Will and Booz a little short, just to throw a commentary in there. They were absolutely relevant in those Western conferences.
They were, yeah.
And they should have beat the Lakers at least one of those playoff series. I don't need to get into the weeds on it. They certainly got bad luck having to match up with them in the second round, however many years in a row. But I certainly think those teams were relevant. I think those teams were better than any team left in the Eastern Conference right now.
I don't know. This Knicks team's pretty complete. I mean, we're also comparing teams 20 seasons apart. So.
Sure. What do you mean complete?
They've got a great starting five. They cover their weaknesses pretty well. Where they have where they do have a weakness, they generally tend to have an answer right next to it. And that was an issue the Jazz didn't have in that era, which was we're talking about Darryn Williams and Carlos Boozer, right? Which is their front court, their lack of defense in the front court was devastating. They didn't have anybody as a shot blocker, and you can say, the Knicks really don't have a great defensive player in Karl-Anthony Towns. Well, they have Mitchell Robinson right behind him, who's a great rim protector. And, Jalen Brunson's a disaster of a defensive player. Well, right next to him, they have Hart and they have Bridges. It's like, well, those guys are great defensive players. Deuce McBride's a great defensive player. So they at least have counters to all of their flaws. The Jazz teams, over the last 20 years, including Darryn Williams and Carlos Boozer and Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert, haven't really had counters to their flaws, which is why I think they were pretty easily exploited generally when they faced off against a better team in the postseason. And good teams find a way to get around that. And I don't know if, the Knicks haven't really faced a great team. Maybe they'll lose to the Pistons in the next round if they play them. It's possible. You got to win. Matchups are certainly meaningful, and they almost lost to the Pistons in the first round last year. So I'm not totally counting my chickens before they hatch, but I do think the Knicks have been playing like the best team in the East.
I would take peak Darryn Williams over Jalen Brunson.
Okay.
And I would take peak Carlos Boozer over Karl-Anthony Towns, both of which gave you the same result on the defensive side.
Mm-hmm.
Mehmet Okur was certainly different than Mitchell Robinson, but he was also extraordinarily effective.
Yeah, an all-star. He's a good player.
So I don't know. I don't know if I'm coming along with that, but I'm not a Knicks believer. I don't know if they have. I don't think Jalen Brunson can win it himself, and I think if you're depending on Karl-Anthony Towns to win you playoff games, where's the counter to that?
Well, that they're 8-2 in the playoffs so far.
I know, but who have they played? Come on.
Sure, but your job is to win playoff games, and they're beating the teams in front of them. Like, they can only beat the teams they play. Yeah, if they were in the West, would they be here right now? Probably have not already punched their tickets to the conference finals. No.
Booz and D-Will got to the second round consistently, just where the Knicks are now, in a better conference than the Knicks are currently doing it.
Yeah, they made 4 runs to the playoffs together. 3 of them they got to the second round. 1 of them they got to the finals. 1 of them they got eliminated in the first round. Like 3 out of the 4 they got out of the first round, so it's successful. So, yeah, I mean, the Knicks are not in the same conversation as the Thunder. I'm not trying to pretend they are. I think they might be the best team in the East, but might still belongs in that conversation because I think they could lose to either the Cavs or the Pistons, whoever they face in the next round. But through the first 2 rounds in the East, I think they have been the best team.
You just were indicating that they weren't relevant in the Darryn Boozer years, and I would just disagree with that. I would in the Donovan Rudy, but less fervently.
I think in regards to, are they changing the conversation in the NBA? And, there was always the Spurs and there was always the Lakers, and those teams were the top of the top. And maybe the Jazz were the third. I mean, there's a real argument the Jazz probably could have been the third best team one of those years in the league. Well, third best team has never mattered. Truthfully, it's cool. It's a fun story, and maybe you get the finals as a third best team. But
I think that there are more than just 1 or 2 relevant teams in the league, I guess is my point.
I think that's fair.
And those teams were good.
I think that's where the Knicks
teams
are today, and you're dismissing them also.
Well, I don't think they're as good as... I think the East is really bad, and I think it's created some numbers, some records, and those sorts of things that aren't necessarily real. And I'm always cautious when people get overly enthused about the Knicks because people are dying to be overly and overrate the Knicks. Mm-hmm. I mean, I've sat here while they overrated the Carmelo Anthony Knicks forever, and those teams weren't going anywhere. So maybe this is the team that ends up proving me wrong. But honestly, is there a good team in the East? We were trying to tell ourselves that Boston was a good team.
Yeah. No, I don't think this is a great Eastern Conference. No.
And they're not. And Boston was in a rebooting year, and they still were able to do what they did. So I don't know. But I'm not saying that the Knicks are some complete team. I don't think any team in the East is complete. But maybe I'm underselling it.
Counter to their net rating, I do not think the Knicks are better than the Thunder or the Spurs. And they're not. They wouldn't. I don't think they would win those series.
I don't think they're better than the T-Wolves.
Though I did see the Knicks beat the Spurs in the mid-season tournament for the mid-season tournament championship. That does not matter. Yeah, Minnesota's a different story. We'll see. I don't know if they'd beat the Knicks. Who would match up in that series?
I think they'd beat the Lakers.
Sure. Would they beat the Cavs?
The Knicks?
Uh-huh.
God, the Cavs are flawed too. I just hate that James Harden trade. So I don't know. Maybe we'll get a chance to see it. I'm cheering like heck for the Pistons, and they're far from a complete team.
Yeah, I mean, Donovan Mitchell had a truly horrendous first half. He had 4 points in the first half, and then honestly maybe had the best quarter I've ever seen a player play in my life.
What did he finish with, 43?
Yeah, he had 31 points or something in the
in the
third quarter. It was just, he was awesome. He just couldn't miss, and he was getting wide open, and they knew it was everything that they were trying to stop, and the Pistons couldn't figure out how to do it. And the Pistons are good, but their offense is really flawed, and they couldn't, as much as they do have the ability at times to just shut you down defensively, they didn't do it in this game, and then they couldn't counter. They couldn't fight fire with fire, and that's why they're as flawed as they are. And again, despite the fact that they looked good in the first round and looked good through the first 2 games in this series, they still really need to add another offensive piece.
Yeah, Donovan had 43, and they still only scored 112 points.
Mm-hmm. It's not a great Cavs team.
No. But I think they could beat the Knicks.
Yeah, it would take some monumental efforts from some players. Knicks just have so many bodies. That's what I like about the Knicks. And no, it's not the top end talent. Jalen Brunson's good. He's a great offensive player. He's pretty flawed, but he can really put it on. He's pretty consistent and he's pretty efficient, and those things do help. But yeah, the defense and what he gives up on that end is a major problem. But it's a little bit the war of attrition. I mean, they just continue to put good players on the floor. And, you look at even what Jordan Clarkson has done in this series and really throughout the playoffs. Like, scoring numbers don't wow you at all, but he seems to be getting a big offensive rebound once a quarter. You're just like, wow, he's keeping this whole play alive. And he's kind of a gamer in that sense. And I think sometimes we think of gamers, speaking of Jordan Clarkson, and think like, oh, well, that means he's a scorer. Or we kind of view like the guy playing in street ball who can get anywhere he wants on the floor and hit some crazy jumper. Gamers find ways to win, and Jordan Clarkson, I think, has actually been more of that player throughout his career than people have given him credit for, to the point where one time Will Hardy was like, you're our starting point guard. He's like, okay, I'll average 25 and 5. He's a gamer. He knows how to find a spot to help a team. Now, that doesn't mean he's the best player on the floor, and he can certainly be flawed, but I think, if he's your 8th guy and he just wants to win, he knows how to do that.
All right, but I don't think your 8th guy is going to help you win or lose a playoff series.
Well, if they do, he's not the right 8th guy.
Meaning?
Well, AJ Mitchell right now for the Thunder, honestly, going into the series, you might have thought was like the 7th or 8th guy on the Thunder. He's been the second best player. He's like, he rules, So you've got Shea, and you've got Chet Holmgren, and you've got Isaiah Hartenstein, and you've got Lou Dort, and you've got Alex Caruso, and you've got, they haven't even mentioned Jalen Williams, who hasn't played in this year. They've got all these guys. And then you get to a player like AJ Mitchell. Well, if he's your 7th guy, you're insane, because AJ Mitchell's awesome.
Sure.
So that's the right 7th guy who can actually help you win a series. No, Jordan Clarkson's not going to help you at that level.
Not anymore.
Yeah.
Or else somebody would have traded for him.
Mm-hmm.
When the Jazz had him.
Correct.
What was that deal? What did they do? They bought him out, right?
Yeah, they just bought out his last
$10
$10
million
million
bought
of
him
his
out,
contract.
and he just went and signed with the Knicks. Well, I don't know. It'll be interesting. I like I said, I like Jordan, even though I didn't necessarily enjoy his game per se. So I hope he has success. Just I wish it was on a different team.
Yeah, and he's done it. He's had a lot of success. This has been a really good year for the Knicks. They're in the conference finals. That's a good year. Now they want to get past, and James Dolan said he believed his team was going to get to the championship. He kind of said it was finals or bust this year. I don't know if he said championship or bust, but he kind of said this should be a finals team, and they are at least the closest with the Thunder among any team to get there.
Yeah, what does Jim Dolan know?
Yeah, I don't think a lot. Not about
Me either.
basketball, but he has built a good team, or he's allowed Leon Rose to build a pretty good team.
Hiring Leon Rose was maybe the only smart move he's made ever. And I still don't know if he's assembled the perfect team either, but maybe they'll prove me wrong.
I mean, they're not going to win the title, so they're always going to have that. I think that's always going to bounce back against them. Minus getting to the finals and running into an injured Thunder team if something happens to Shea. And even then, I don't know.
Even then.
Yeah, I don't know if I don't know if the Knicks are better than the Thunder without Shea, which is a real credit to how good the Thunder are.
It is. They are good. They are. They're going to have to break it up to a certain extent. Yeah. I mean, after we did the exercise of looking into their books yesterday.
$250 million on the books.
Already.
There you have to say goodbye to Hartenstein and Dort and
all these
probably
players
other
they
players.
love. Yeah. Again, the Jazz should look into signing Lou Dort immediately. Sign that guy.
Yeah.
And Kelly Olynyk. And then all of a sudden you have the edge that your team
Then
needs.
you have the toughest team. Or the meanest team. Maybe not the toughest, but the meanest.
Certainly the dirtiest.
Yeah. Which isn't a bad thing.
Which, no, that's how you get your edge.
Yep.
That's how you don't get your players' heads knocked off. By the way, elite move. Did you? I may be changing my tune. I'm changing my tune on a lot of stuff today. Ace Bailey, changing my tune.
Yeah.
Dylan Brooks, totally changing my tune.
Okay, what about?
Did you see him at the Lakers game
I did.
yesterday? Trolling the Lakers?
He's iced out, yep.
Waving at him goodbye?
Courtside.
Courtside?
Right underneath the basket.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
That's like Dennis Rodman level mind games right there.
He's funny, and he's also a Canadian and a friend of fellow Canadian Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, so I'm sure that was part of it.
I think he was there to wave goodbye to LeBron.
Oh, I think it was both. Yeah, I think he was there to troll the Lakers and also to
because
hang out
his
with
mouth did cost him a playoff series against the Lakers.
What did his mouth cost him last night? His grill must have cost $250,000 at least. It's all diamonds.
You should get one of those.
Think? I think it'd be hard to top.
Don't get the all diamonds though. Go zirconia.
Okay.
Because
Cheaper.
I mean, you're not hurting for dough, but that, like you said, that had to cost.
You can't
him
get a diamond grill.
Yeah, right. But zirconia, I bet you can pull it off.
Or you could just swallow a bunch of diamonds like our guy yesterday.
Or maybe we call our guy Joe, and you get the what do they call those? The lab diamonds. Meet in the middle.
Yeah.
What would you have it say something? Can't just go Ben.
No, you don't put your name on it.
It would fit.
Yeah. Jake and Ben.
That'd be pretty
Advertise
big.
the show on a big grill.
Okay.
They have to get top and bottom.
All right, stay tuned. More next. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Insurance isn't one size fits all, and shopping for it shouldn't feel like squeezing into something that just doesn't fit. That's why drivers have enjoyed Progressive's Name Your Price tool for years. With the Name Your Price tool, you tell them what you want to pay, and they show you options that fit your budget. Enough hunting for discounts, trying to calculate rates, and tinkering with coverages. Maybe you're picking out your very first policy, or maybe you're just looking for something that works better for you and your family. Either way, they make it simple to see your options. No guesswork, no surprises. Ready to see how easy and fun shopping for car insurance can be? Visit Progressive.com and give the Name Your Price tool a try. Take the stress out of shopping and find coverage that fits your life on your terms. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
This is Jake Scott and Ben Anderson. Now, every day from 2 to 6 on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Jacob Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Want to remind you about Win Ticket Wednesday, your chance to win big every week on the station. This week, you can win tickets to go see Real Salt Lake take on the Colorado Rapids at America First Field. Coming up this Saturday. Great seats are available at SeatGeek. Get your tickets today or listen all day on Wednesday for your chance to win. What do they call that? The Rocky Mountain Cup? Is that right?
Think so?
Yeah. Go see a rivalry, Ben.
Yeah, for sure.
Check it out. I wouldn't mind getting over to see it. Now that the weather is turning nice a little bit.
My kids have never been. I need to take them.
Really?
Yeah, they've never been to a game. So.
Now, I am admittedly not necessarily into soccer guy. I don't consider myself a hater.
Yeah.
But I will tell you, similar to baseball, on a summer night, out at that, which I really like that Stadium America First Field. I think they did a pretty terrific job on it. The pacing of soccer lends itself to a good social aspect of it. I don't know. I really enjoy it.
Yeah, I agree. I think my kids would too.
So check it out. There you go. You can listen on Wednesday for your chance to win. How dialed in are you on this combine coverage, Ben? Did the 42 inches from AJ do anything for you today?
Yeah, it does. I mean, it's the highest. Again, it just kind of underlines that where there are questions among the top 3 prospects, and you can bring in Caleb Wilson to the top 4 if you want. They're all super skilled offensive players. They're highly, highly touted offensive players. All of them averaged over 20 points per game as freshmen. Really rare. That's a great number for true freshmen. They did it in different ways. AJ is physically maybe the most gifted as far as attacking from the wing in. Darryn Peterson's the best shooter. And obviously Cam Booz is the most physically dominant in the post and around the rim, but also shoots 38% from 3. But they're not alike in any way. They're all 3 do it in different manners. And, Boozer's the best playmaker of the 3, and probably AJ's second, and then Darryn Peterson would be third. So how do they all fit? The fact that AJ has the best size of all of them, Darryn Peterson's 6'4.5", So he'll be about 6'6" in shoes. We talked about that yesterday. AJ's actually a half inch or a quarter inch taller than Cam Boozer, which is great. And then he has I think his max vert now is 7 inches higher than Cam Boozer's. It's 4 inches taller or higher than Darryn Peterson's. It's like, so not only does he have the best positional size, he's also the best athlete of the group. He also averaged the most points of the group. And sometimes I think as you really try and diagnose these guys and dig deep and look at all the numbers, sometimes also just step back and realize like AJ is just a pretty safe prospect. He did it at a very high level in college. Maybe they didn't win enough. Maybe he didn't play enough defense. His shooting numbers weren't perfect at just 33% from three. But the profile lends itself to somebody who's really going to be fine. There's just not real question marks there. And there's questions about how Cam Boozer's going to stack up, athletically. We're going to talk to Ricky O'Donnell coming up at 4 o'clock. He's a big Cam Boozer fan. We'll see what he thinks about that gap. And I just don't think it's significant enough that everyone's going to bring it up. Why does Cam Boozer's game translate if he's not a big-time athlete? You just don't ask that at all with AJ Dybantsa. And that's a huge plus. And then the numbers today just underlined it. But no, nobody is surprised at what they saw today.
Do you think do you think either of these teams, Wizards or the Jazz, are even considering Cam Boozer?
Yeah, they should be. I hope they both are.
Why is that?
Cam honestly may have just had the greatest freshman season we've ever seen any player ever have. And that's not hyperbole. Like, he was the best. He's the best offensive player in college basketball as a freshman. In a generation right now, in an era where older players in college basketball are back. Like, that's a thing. These guys are playing 3 and 4 years and getting paid a lot of money. This isn't just like all the one-and-done players are the best players because nobody sticks in college. Everyone leaves. There's guys sticking in college now. So he was by far the best player in college. I think there's a real argument he was the best passer in college. He's also the best rebounder in college. And then he averages 22 points a game. He's like by far the most efficient of all these players. So
I get back to, though, yesterday, a point we made yesterday. Why would they take a flawed player at number one?
Well, all these guys are flawed is the problem.
Yeah, but I mean significantly flawed.
I don't know if he's that significantly flawed. Like
he's not going to guard in the NBA level. That's not going to be a thing.
Like,
he doesn't have the lateral quickness like the old man.
Correct. He lacks some of that. Yeah.
So he's not. He's going to be picked on in the pick and roll his whole career.
But like AJ didn't guard at all. Like AJ was a really lousy defender this year at BYU.
But what's his wingspan?
Yeah, it's good.
And what's his athletic ability? I mean, if he wants to, the point is, if he wants to guard, he can guard. That's a different problem.
But also, like what teams look at now, like a big number right now is steal percentage. Now amount of possessions ended with steals that you get because steals are live ball turnovers, and the NBA right now is just a possessions game. So if we want to get really dorky about this, here's where Boozer matters. You play 100 possessions. Boozer makes the right play 95 of them. Mm-hmm. Darryn Peterson makes the right play 80 of them. AJ makes the right play 60 of them. Well, over time, making the right play 95 of them really adds up, and maybe it's only 1/10 of a percentage point, and it doesn't matter that much, but over 90 possessions, it really starts to matter. 100 possessions, it really starts to matter. And then your steal percentage, which AJ's numbers are like shockingly bad. Like he doesn't get steals, he doesn't get blocks, despite the fact that we look at a 42-inch vertical and a 8'10" standing reach. It's like, why did you block so few shots? Like, what, do you care? Do you not want to be a part of it? And I think the answer is no, BYU didn't care. And that's not a flaw. They just said, AJ, you do not get to foul out of games at all. Like, you have to carry a huge load offensively. So I don't actually worry about it that much, but I know NBA teams worry about it. And I'm just trying to speak from why teams will seriously consider Cam Boozer as the number 1 overall pick, because he is the best offensive player of this group right now. Now, top potential, is he? I don't know, but Alperen Sengun's a great player, and I think Cam Boozer is a way better player than Alperen Sengun is, like a way better player. I think he's a better player than Sabonis. Well, Sabonis is an all-star and an all-NBA player. Like, if I had to bet of these 3 players who's going to be an all-NBA guy, I would say Cam Boozer, no doubt about it. Like, Cam Boozer's going to get there. Some of that's because the front court is wide open to get to the all-NBA, which is why Julius Randle has made a bunch in his career. It's why Karl Anthony Towns has made a lot. Like, you can get there easier in the front court than I think you can in the back court. Some of it's because there's so few 6'8", 6'9", 6'10" people in the world, and there are a ton of 6'3" people. So that's just kind of the math problem of it that does favor big guys reaching some of these awards at the end of the season. But man, if I needed somebody who was just going to check a bunch of boxes, like I know Cam Boozer is going to be a great player in the NBA. The people doubt whether his 1-of-1 outcome, his top overall outcome, is as good as either AJ or Darryn. But he's a way better player today than either of those players. Way better.
I know I'm going back like 5 minutes, but steal percentage is something people value? Why? Steals are so overrated.
No, I think they're really underrated. I think it's the opposite. I think blocks are really overrated. but because it's a live ball turnover. And
Fine. John Stockton is the all-time leader in steals. He was not a dominant defensive player. Chris Paul has been good at steals his entire career, and he sucks at defense.
No, he was a great defensive
he's
player.
gotten all
no, he's a very good defensive player.
Because people overrate steals, he's made some all-defensive teams because they overrate steals. People assume because players get steals that they're good defenders. That is not the case. And Chris Paul, if you want to say he's a plucky guy and a plucky defender, then fine, but he's also 2 feet tall and has never been able to switch. So I don't like steals as a gauge at all. And it doesn't surprise me that analytics people do, because analytics people like all sorts of bizarre stuff. But as far as defense goes, I think steals are distracting. You need a player who's going to be able to stay in front of his guy and not get beat and not require double teams. And that has nothing to do with steals, and that's exactly what I'm talking about. Can you put AJ Dybantsa, if he has the will, out on Shea? No, Shea's a bad example because I'm not exactly trying to pick the best player in the league necessarily. Sure. But can you send AJ Dybantsa out on a starting NBA wing and have him be able to hold his own and not require a double team? That is what I'm talking about. And then you can go from there to versatility. Can you switch your players onto other positions? Can AJ switch onto other positions? I would guess the answer is yes.
Yeah.
But to your point, we didn't see it at BYU.
Yeah.
So we don't have a proof of concept. We don't have a proof of concept really with any of these guys defensively. But if I had to make a bet on who's going to be a good defensive player, am I taking a guy with a high steal percentage or a guy with the athleticism to stay in front of their guy? I'm taking the athleticism 10 out of 10 times.
I think that's 100% fair.
And does Darryn Peterson have it? I don't know. He's a little smaller than AJ. So his impact defensively, I think, is a little bit more up in the air. But do I want the slow guy? Speaking of Şengün, slow guy can't guard.
Yeah, he can't.
It's going to make him limited. And I love Şengün, but it's going to make him limited for his entire career. He will never be the best player on a championship contender. Kevin Durant and his stupid burner was absolutely right about that, 100%. So I come back to the question, and hey, what do I know? I'm some bozo. Whoever the Jazz want to consider, they're way smarter than me. I would not consider Cam Boozer for that reason. He cannot move laterally. Luka Doncic. Well, look at your guy AR. Picked on that entire series because he cannot move laterally.
Right.
Carlos Boozer. If we want to go back, we were comparing eras. If you want to go back to the Darren Williams, Carlos Boozer era and why that team failed, yes, size was part of it, but his lateral quickness was even bigger.
Yeah.
Because he got crushed in the pick and roll against those Laker teams all the time. Memo did too. And so, I don't know. If I'm looking at Cam Boozer and people say, is athleticism a question? That's a big question to me, and especially when you're picking number one. Don't take the non-athletic guy if you're picking number one.
Which is why I don't think he's going to go number one. I don't. But
or number two even. I mean, if you're considering between these three players. He would be a distant third, in my opinion.
I mean, of these three, Boozer, I believe, has the best, and again, this is getting dorky, but defensive box plus minus. So you add up all the analytics, Boozer has been the best defensive player. Now, sometimes those really overrate rebounding, or they highly value rebounding because you're ending a possession by grabbing the rebound.
Well, and who else is on his team?
And again, he's an elite defensive rebounder. I mean, he's an elite rebounder. He's going to be a guy who's going to come in. And look, Boozer in his prime is going to average 22 points, 11 rebounds, and 5 assists. And a lot of teams are just going to say, like, I will take that. Because there's a world where AJ Dybantsa busts. Like, absolutely. There's a huge world where Darryn Peterson busts. It's like not crazy. There have been a lot of two guards that people have said, I think it's Kobe. I think it's Michael.
I know. I hate that.
And you get
crap.
wowed in that. And then you say, wow, I think that's who it's going to be. So we're taking Jalen Green with the number 2 overall pick. He's a can't-miss prospect.
Yeah.
Is Jalen Green a can't-miss prospect? He's on his second team already. He's not that good.
But
so
if Shea were in the draft this year, you're taking him.
Yeah.
With the 1 or 2 pick or whatever.
Well,
and he would have been a 2 guard. And he wasn't taking number 2. The draft is flawed.
No,
but
he's
you get
taking 12, yeah.
But you get my point. I mean, if he's a 2 guard, if you think he's going to be an MVP, then you take him, whether he's 6'5 or 6'4 or 2 or whatever.
But, and if we want to, again, rewind 5 minutes, the reason why steals right now are really highly sought after is because that's the defense the Thunder have built. They force a ton of turnovers. Well, how do you force turnovers? That's a steal. They're trying to win the possession battle every night. They do it with rebounding, which is why they went out and got Hartenstein. But then they also get a ton of steals. That's Caruso. That's Shea. That's Lou Dort. I mean, that's what those players specialize in.
But that didn't put them over the hump.
I mean, their defense probably did.
Hartenstein put them over the hump.
Yes, when they added Hartenstein.
And that defensive component, that's what put them over the hump. It's not the steals, it's how they're built.
Right. And what is Hartenstein? Great rebounder. Boozer's the best rebounder in the draft. Like, here's what people need to realize. Cam Boozer is the best passer and rebounder in this draft, and he's probably the 4th best scorer. So it's like, that's a lot. That's a really, really rare combination. And I get he doesn't move his feet very well. Like, but the best passer, rebounder, and the 3rd or 4th best scorer is an absolute insane player. Like, I think there's a relatively safe bet that he's the 2nd best player from this class. He's going to be better than one of AJ or Darryn. Who's he going to be better than? That's what I think some teams are honestly going to be weighing.
Why is he automatically going to be better than one of those guys?
I don't think he's automatically, but I think he's a much safer bet to be better than one of those. You're betting on the upside of both AJ and Darryn because neither of them is there right now. And Cam is way closer to being there already. Like, Cam is going to be the overwhelming favorite to be Rookie of the Year because he is so much better than they are today. He's just way better than they are today. He's 250 pounds. He's 6'8". His skills are through the roof. He's a great ball handler. He does all the rebounding and passing like I've just talked about. His B-ball IQ is higher than the other 2 players right now. It's just he's really close to being a contributor, I think, day one. So he's going to be the favorite to win Rookie of the Year. The same advantage that Cooper Flagg had last season. Can somebody with the higher potential reach the higher potential? Most guys don't reach their potential. When they do, it's awesome. You do get the Kobe Bryants of the world who went from a very raw high school prospect to one of the 15 greatest players of all time. When they get there, it's really awesome. But a lot of guys bet on potential and they never get there.
I think we're looking at a little more than potential with, like, Taylor Hendricks was all potential. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's what you make that pick. At 1 or 2, you hopefully have a little more than just potential. I think AJ has shown a little more than just potential. Maybe, I mean...
No, absolutely. He's got a ton of game. That's why he's being talked about
and
number
he
one.
was an All-American. I mean, I don't know how much stock we're putting in the college thing. That's the argument for Boozer, is his college numbers.
Well, in high school. He's the most decorated high school American player ever.
But he wasn't the number 1 prospect coming out of high school.
No, he was number 3. Behind AJ and Darryn Peterson, again, because of the potential of those players. And by the way, he was a way better college player, but they were betting on potential in college too, and Boozer was still better than they are.
Yeah.
At some point, when are you going to believe it? I guess that's the question.
Well, when I see it at the NBA level, I mean, Tyler Hansbrough was great in college. Mm-hmm. Jimmer was great in college. Yeah. I mean, yeah, when you see it actually out there on the floor is when, I mean, what was Morrison? 3rd pick?
Up there.
When he went to Charlotte, great college player, average NBA player, not even a starter. Yeah, average NBA player. So it's hard.
I don't think anyone's betting on Cam Booz.
Anthony Davis was a great college player, and he turned into a great NBA player. So it's not like there isn't some correlation.
No,
but it's not the whole story.
No, it's not perfect.
And Morrison going 3rd was not everybody, but people considered like, this is a guy. You're getting a guy. You're getting a franchise dude. Did you see him at Gonzaga? He was amazing. Mm-hmm. He was not amazing.
Right.
And he also went to a bad situation, which probably didn't do him any favors, but certainly was far from a great NBA player. So I don't know. Morrison had some of the problems that Cam Boozer has, honestly, with the lateral quickness and athleticism, and it really limited him. Mm-hmm. I'm just saying, if you've got the 1 or 2 pick, why take a player that has a significant flaw that is obvious? Does Dybantsa have a significant flaw that is obvious? I'm granting you're no perfect player. We're certainly splitting hairs. But is there
does he have something he
an
can't
obvious
overcome?
Flaw that he can't do? Do you need him to rebound 10 a game? Not really. That's not his position. He hasn't shown necessarily that he's a great defensive player, but all the capability is there.
Yeah.
I could tell you why Luka isn't a good defensive player. I couldn't tell you why AJ would be a bad defensive player.
Yeah, he can get there. It's why he's going to be the number 1 pick.
Darryn Peterson, is there a significant flaw to that guy's game?
He's the shortest of the group.
Yeah, but he's not obnoxiously short.
No, it's not disqualifyingly short. His athletic numbers today were good. They're not great. He's not an elite athlete.
He's the same size. I'm not comparing to Kobe.
Yeah.
He's the same size as Kobe
Yeah,
was.
exactly. A little bit taller than Dwayne Wade.
Yep. Not quite as tall as Michael Jordan.
Right.
Although we never saw Michael measured without shoes.
But again, like that, yeah, so is Jalen Green. It's the exact same body.
Jalen Green's problem is heart, though, right? To bring it back to that problem. Like, talent isn't Jalen Green's problem. Athleticism isn't Jalen Green's problem.
He's a good jumper. He's not a great first step guy. But so there are some issues there. Then where Darryn Peterson's not. Like Darryn Peterson probably has the best first step in the draft.
But what was true about Jalen Green, and I'm glad that's a good example of exactly what we're talking about. But these guys need to do what Jalen Green did not. But all three of them, really, but less so Boozer, to your point, is that if AJ Dybantsa gets into the league and doesn't put his heart into it, yeah, he's on the fast track to average town.
Yeah.
Peterson, the same way.
Right.
But I think you've got to ignore that somewhat with the draft and try to make a determination on what kind of person. This is why what kind of person matters so much. Mm-hmm. I'd be curious I would love to have seen Jalen Green's pre-draft interviews and what he said or what he was all about.
That's why Ace Bailey fell to 5. There was no pre-draft interviews. There was questions about his heart at Rutgers. There was questions about how hard he played and whether he cared about winning.
And if he doesn't pour it on, he's going to be on the fast track to average town too.
But he did his first year, and then everyone says like, "Oh yeah, we overthought that." You know?
Yeah. Well, I think Ace Bailey's still got a long way to go.
He does, no question. Yeah. But no one's questioning whether or not he deserved to be the 5th overall pick.
Not at the moment.
Yeah.
But we got a long way to go.
Correct.
I mean, he really does. He's got to put a bunch of effort into it and get a lot better. And that's hard. That's what Ben Simmons was never willing to do.
But look, I think all three of these guys at the top are going to be great players. Like, this is going to be a very good draft. And all three of these guys, I think, are going to be very successful. I think what Cam does already makes him a relatively safe pick, but I don't think that means he doesn't have upside. And honestly, if I had to bet again, I think you're going to walk away with the second best player in the draft. With Cam, the question is, do you want to bet on a guy who's better than that? Because if you get a guy who's better than Cam Boozer, you do have a guy who I think has the potential to be the number one on a championship team. I mean, I think that's how good this draft can be.
Who was the Arizona guy who had one good tournament, win 2?
Derek Williams.
Who picked him? Minnesota?
Is it Philly? I don't think he went to Philly now.
I don't think so either. I can't remember either. That's how nondescript that dude was.
Yeah.
All right, stay tuned. We'll have more Jake and Ben coming up next. Don't forget, Ricky O'Donnell of SB Nation is going to join us at the top of the 4 o'clock hour.
Yeah, woof.
Killed it.
Career average 8.9 points.
How many years?
He played 7 years in the NBA. 2 years for Minnesota.
That's Jalen Green.
Yeah.
Now, Jalen actually probably will be a little better than that. But
yes, clearly.
Yeah.
But not meaningful. He's not a meaningful player.
Not at the moment.
Yeah.
And, hey, don't write him off either. You know, Keontae George figured it out at some point, or at least appears to have.
Yeah.
So maybe somebody like that does. But that's what's going to make a difference for Peterson and Dybantsa and to a lesser extent. Booz.
Like that?
All right, stay tuned. More next. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
If the world were like a Sleep Number mattress, everything would adapt for your comfort. Because as your life changes and your body changes, Sleep Number mattresses adapt and shift to give you personalized comfort night after night. And now everything's on sale during our Memorial Day event. Save up to $1,200 on mattresses for a limited time. To experience a whole new world of comfort, visit a Sleep Number store or go to sleepnumber.com. Sleep Number, to a good life sleep.
Just doing it big, you know?
Your home for the best sports radio for your afternoon drive is right here. This is Jake Scott and Ben Anderson on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Hey, coming up on Thursday, we're going to be headed up to Ogden, Ben. Beehive Meals is opening their new production facility. Tune in to Scotty and the coach and Jake and Ben. We're going to both be up there bringing you the grand opening. So we are super excited about that. Let's also give away a golfer because it's PGA Championship Week. Caller number 12, 801-575-ZONE. We're going to assign you a golfer in the top 25 in the world. One listener will also get the field. If your golfer wins, you win a Copper Rock logo golf bag plus a $100 gift card brought to you by Copper Rock, where the pros play. Ben, this story may deserve more time. But let's try and crunch it in here because it's not necessarily sports. Have you ever heard of Lonnie the seal.
No.
It's a monk seal, Ben, and has become the symbol of Maui's recovery from the Lahaina wildfire.
Okay.
So after the wildfire, apparently Lonnie came back, and everybody has been caring for the seal, and it's been a symbol of recovery and all this stuff. Well, some guy from Seattle was videotaped throwing a giant rock at this seal.
Okay.
Yeah, like, look at this. This guy just throws a giant rock at this beloved seal.
Yeah, don't do that.
So somebody videoed it and put it out there saying, does anybody know this guy? And some local dude tracked him down and really beat him up.
Oh.
A local Hawaiian tracked him down and really beat him up.
I don't know it personally, but we've all heard stories about being very pay respect to the locals.
The local
in Hawaii.
Hawaii.
Yeah.
And they're not necessarily fond of tourists
Correct.
when they're not working.
Yeah.
Because a lot of them work in tourism and be very friendly,
Yeah.
but not necessarily big fans of tourists. So there's two kind of funny things outside of this guy getting beaten up, and deservedly so. One, Ben, let's see here. The man who has taken matters into his own hands has been awarded a letter of recognition by State Senator Brenton Awa. Quote, our attorney over here wants us to make it clear that we don't condone violence, but we did make a letter of recognition for Mr. Ambassador of Aloha.
Okay.
The 37-year-old tourist is facing fines of up to $50,000 and jail time. But get this, Ben. Let me see. Let me get to this part of the story. The guy is 37-year-old Igor something or other from Seattle. After being confronted, he replied, quote, I don't care. I'm rich. Find me. I can pay for it. That was his quote.
Okay.
Now, this is the best part of the story. He has since been detained, but has yet to be charged as charged in the case, which means that I'm guessing he's just rotting in jail?
Yeah.
That he's been detained, and they're like, well, we're going to slow play these charges, so you're just going to have to sit tight.
Yeah, if your argument is going to be, I don't care about the money, it doesn't bug me, then the courts, especially if it's a local court that feels like they want to impose pain on you, will find a way to do it. Say, oh, yeah, we're going to give you 30 days in jail then. If the money doesn't matter, and you're flaunting it in our face that it doesn't matter, we'll find a way to punish you that you do feel it. And no, you don't want to go sit in a Hawaii jail for 30 days.
Yeah, the judge is on vacation. We'll bring you up for arraignment when he gets
Yeah,
back.
right. Yeah.
I love that part. He's been detained, but charges have yet to be filed. So they're just slow playing this thing, Ben. Keep him behind bars after taking his beating.
But
Are
yeah.
you all right with this? You're not a man of violence either, but are you okay with vigilante justice in this case?
Yes, and I'm not like the most animals over people person either. I think sometimes that gets a little aggressive. But yeah, again, I do try to be very respectful when you go into somebody else's culture or whatever. And if you attack their favorite seal locally, especially one that represents something like coming back from the fires that they faced, yeah, I don't mind that you got beat up a little bit.
I don't know why this isn't
I'm
playing.
not going to go to bat for you.
No, I think, you know what, in this case, Ben, totally fine with the vigilante justice.
Yeah. Well, clearly, so is all of Hawaii.
All of Hawaii is like, that guy had it coming.
Seems like everyone feels like this was the right decision.
Why are we throwing rocks at seals?
Yeah, what are you doing? I'm also skeptical this guy can actually afford it.
I hope not.
Yeah.
I hope he can't. I hope he didn't get any medical care. I hope he just got detained.
We don't take your insurance. I don't know what to tell you.
And is bleeding somewhere in jail.
Sorry, Igor.
Plus, you're in an island in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. You really are at their mercy.
Yeah.
Bad news.
Yep.
All right, stay tuned. We're going to talk more NBA basketball coming up next. We're going to be joined by Ricky O'Donnell. He covers the NBA for SB Nation. Stay tuned. Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.